All right, so now we're going to work on one-step equations type 5. So it says solve for t and simplify your answer. Negative 13 equals negative 5/3 t. So the first thing we want to do is grab our scratch paper, or in this case my sketch pad, and we want to rewrite our equation. So negative 13 equals negative 5/3 t. Okay, and there's a couple different ways that we can go about solving this equation. So we'll talk through a couple of them. First thing we want to do is we want to think always about using those inverse operations, right? So how is that negative 5/3 attached to the t? It's attached by multiplication. What's the inverse or the opposite of multiplying? Dividing. If I do it to one side of my equal sign, I have to do the exact same thing to the other side of my equal sign. So I know, let's see here, there's a couple of ways that we could do this. So when you divide by a fraction, it is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. And the reciprocal is just a flip of the fraction. So your numerator or your denominator goes into your numerator becomes your denominator. And then we know negative 5/3 divided by negative 5/3, that leaves us with 1t, which is what we wanted. So then at this point, you could do the operations by hand, right? Negative 13 times 3, what does that give us? Negative 39. And then we have negative 5 in our denominator. And we know, hey, two negatives, those divide out and leave us with a positive 39 over 5. Okay, if you did this in your calculator, so let me show you here. This is why I have the webcam. So if we do this in our calculator, right, we're going to do 39 divided by 5, and we would get something like this to get this 7.8, or positive 7.8. All right, well, so the problem with this is if Delta Math is asking for it in simplified form, they may not want a decimal. So now you have to convert it back to a fraction, which isn't so hard to do. But if you're a little rusty on that, the nice thing about the TI-84 is that it will do that conversion for you if you use this math button, right? So using this math button, let me see here. Using this math button, you get this series of menus, and the first one at the very top says frac, and that means fraction. So you're going to hit enter, and oh, let me see here. And now it says answer frac, and what that's going to do is take that answer and convert it back into a fraction. All right, so math enter is a really nice tool to have in your toolkit while you're working through these problems. Okay, so 39/5. Another way you could do this problem, if that was kind of tricky for you to think through, is, let's see here, negative 5/3 t. We could undo or invert each part of our fraction individually, right? So I could say, hey, I have this dividing by 3, so I could start by multiplying both sides of my equal sign by 3. So 3 times negative 13 is negative 39, and I'm left with, let's see here, my 3's. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so I'm left with negative 5t. And then I could say, hey, I know I have to get rid of that negative 5. What's the opposite of multiplying by negative 5? Well, that's dividing by negative 5, right? So if I do it to one side of my equal sign, I must do it to both sides of my equal sign. Negative 5 divided by negative 5 leaves me with 1t, and negative 39 divided by negative 5 is 39/5. It doesn't really reduce much. So you could do it either way, right? You could do it in one step using your fraction, or you could split it into 2 steps working on the division and the multiplication individually. All right, if we hop over to Delta Math, 39/5, go ahead and type that in, and voila. And it looks like Delta Math walked you through the one step, which was multiplying by the reciprocal. Let's see if they give us any different kinds of problems here. Nope, looks like they're all working with fractions. So that's it for solving one-step equations type 5.